This episode of the Puu Muay Thai podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com, authentic Muay Thai lifestyle by Puu. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of a Nak Muay. Go check it out.
Welcome to this episode of the Puu Muay Thai podcast. This is the series of me sharing my book, Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight, first edition. I'm making this public after it being published a few years back. I hope you find some value in it. You might notice that as you're going through it, you probably wish you had it written down or in a book format in front of you. You can definitely still go purchase this over on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight by Jonathan Puu. I am going to be separating this into multiple parts, so enjoy. Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight by me, Jonathan Puu. Back cover. Jonathan Puu, with over a decade of training and quartering fighters, from amateur level up to some of the top stages of Muay Thai competition. Jonathan Puu has been a top leader in the Muay Thai industry through his work with fighters, the Puu Muay Thai Academy, as well as through his international fight and training experience. The training methods in this book are what Jonathan uses for their fight team and is a small peek inside of what is the essential system of protocols for a first-time competitor. If you are preparing or wanting to prepare for your first Muay Thai fight, this book was written for you. 2020. Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight. Everything you need to know by Jonathan James Puu. Preparing for Your First Muay Thai Fight. Copyright 2020 by Jonathan Puu, Puu Muay Thai Inc., MuayThaiVentura.com, Instagram and TikTok at Puu Muay Thai, contact at MuayThaiVentura.com for email, phone number 805-665-3311. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by means without written permission from the author. ISBN 978-0-578-72016-6. Printed by USA 48 Hour Books. Dedication. My first Muay Thai instructor, Fred Lemus. Rest in peace. Thank you for everything you did for believing in me when no one else did. Not even myself. You're sorely missed. My Muay Thai mentor, De Nakweed Sriampai, for giving me the knowledge to learn and to teach Muay Thai. Table of Contents. Introduction. What is your why? Time, dedication, and discipline. Train gear for fight prep. Running and road work. Shadowboxing, your training week. Pad work and private lessons. Bag work and conditioning drills. Calisthenics. Sparring routines. Clinching routines. Post-training stretches for focus and flexibility. Rest and recovery. Diet and healthy habits. Making weight. Mental prep and pre-fight. Your first Muay Thai fight. And closing thoughts. Introduction. This book came to be after more than a decade of experience figuring things out by trial and error. This includes my own journey as well as our competition team. I've been running our Muay Thai Academy for, at the time of writing this book, more than 5 years, starting in 2014, which has led our fighters throughout the world. Everywhere from dingy gyms in Mexico City, bars with boxing rings, small gyms in Los Angeles, and onto CBS Sports in the USA, TV Azteca in Mexico, Channel 8 in Thailand, as well as Henan Television in mainland China. Needless to say, I've had a ton of experience getting people prepared to step into the ring or cage for the first time up through professional level competitions. I've been training Muay Thai since 2007 when I was 18 years old, around 13 years at the time of writing this book. I began assisting and teaching relatively fast as I began fighting after my friend signed me up for a smoker at our gym that we started at. I've gone on to becoming a professional fighter as well as a professional ring official working with WBC Muay Thai globally and many other sanctioning organizations within the United States. I founded Puu Muay Thai, a Muay Thai academy and program in 2014, have built programs and curriculum for kids, teens, and adults for all purposes, including combat sports. If you've never trained Muay Thai before and want to fight, I recommend you find a program nearby you to use this book as a baseline to start. If you're training in a program, I recommend you consult with your crew, your instructor, coach, along with the advice I give here, as most have their own way of doing things. But this is my personal experience and what I found to work and the mistakes I have made with myself and our fighters that you too can avoid. After all, I hope you can save more brain cells than I did figuring it out. Chapter 1. What is your why? There are always things I like to bring up with people who approach me about fighting or the prospective idea of fighting. I get it. It's an exciting endeavor and the thrill is really worth it if you have the dedication, discipline, and time to make it happen. Something that I always bring up for people is that when they're asking about fighting, I ask them, what is your goal with fighting? And I'll ask you the same. What is your goal? Is it just to fight once? To become world champion? Do it for fun? Be a pro fighter and make some money? There are various answers to the above scenario, but it's important to understand your why. Also, if you're playing for just one fight, I highly suggest you reconsidering your goal to compete a few times to get a better understanding of competition in Muay Thai. Fighting once and dumping training is a huge disservice to both yourself and your instructor and team. If you invest in the goal of fighting a few times, it's more likely that you'll continue training. This makes sense both from a personal development standpoint and a business standpoint for your instructor. The more experience you get, the more you can share and help build others to further your understanding of what you've learned from your instructors. This also keeps the program growing with new experience for new and prospective students going in and competing. If you're fighting to make a living, I've got news for you. Fighting really doesn't pay the bills. But it is very fun, fulfilling, and challenging. There are some other ways that you can make an income through martial arts. But that's for a different book. That's how I ended up running a Muay Thai program and gaining a bunch of valuable experience. It's a great route to embark on, but know that you're biting into before going into it. If you're fighting to test yourself, that is a great reason. It's one that I see many people start with. They want to test themselves either mentally, physically, spiritually, or a combination of all three. Either way, fighting is a great way to help develop and test those traits within yourself. No matter the reason, now you know. I hope it doesn't discourage you, but let it serve as a reality check for why you picked up this book. Chapter 2. Time. Time is a significant factor and is something to consider. I've had many people approach me throughout the years about fighting. When I hand them my list of training and roadwork requirements, they usually nod and say something like, I definitely can't dedicate time to that. Or they nod and say something like, okay, let's do it. Both answers can lead to fighting. The first being the I definitely can't dedicate time to that can be a commitment issue. If you're finding yourself here, reset your goals and priorities in life to serve what you actually want. I could go for days here, but it's better to consult your instructor on this. The latter, okay, let's do it, is usually where you want to be before committing to the training requirements for fighting. Some time requirements to consider are training 5 to 6 times per week leading up to the fight, extra sparring and clinching leading up to the fight, running and road work 4 to 6 days per week depending on your program, meal preparation for your dietary requirements, 1 to 5 30-minute private lessons per week with your instructor, making time for unwinding and recovery from training, the pre, during, and post-fight days, any required travel for extra training and the competition itself. A lot of that will fall on the responsibility of the fighter, aka you, to make happen and manage along with your instructor's guidance, in this book, of course. Chapter 3. Dedication and Discipline. When taking a fight, you must be extremely dedicated to fighting. You'll miss out on birthday parties, funerals, family events, special landmark occasions, and possibly even financial opportunities outside of work. This is very important to understand that this same level of dedication is on the table from your instructor. That's right. The person who is training you, whether they talk about it or not, will be making the same sacrifices you are, and sometimes even more. I say this from both standpoints. As a fighter, I've missed out on family occasions and been made to look stupid because of it by family. They apologize later for it. I've missed momentous occasions and financial opportunities because I was pursuing fighting. I've also seen this be a detriment to a fighter's social health as well. As an instructor, I've missed out on a few family funerals and had fighters berate me because I talked about not cornering. I didn't mention the funeral until after the fight because my goal as an instructor is to make sure the fighter is 100% focused during fight prep. Please know that your instructor may do this without you knowing. Keep this in mind when considering your dedication level. In regards to discipline, you might be thinking, yeah, I can chip away at this for 8 weeks, no problem. Well, I got news for you. If you haven't been training, you still have to learn the fundamentals of Muay Thai before you even begin training for a fight. If you're already training, you'll have to stay ready until a fight opportunity comes up. Not only will you be staying prepared for fight opportunities, but you'll also maintain a healthy weight for your desired weight class. More on this later. I've seen fighters lose some of the biggest opportunities in their career because they decided to balloon up 20 to 30 pounds. That's 9 to 13 kilograms for you metric folks out there. Between fights, and they were kicking themselves because of it. Now you might be thinking, Jonathan, I just want to prepare for my first fight, and I understand that, but you want to train like a professional regardless. You'll perform better and go into competition more prepared knowing you prepared properly. I've seen some of the best fighters piss away their careers because they couldn't get their act together with their weight. Take this as your precautionary tale, and feel free to thank me later when you get the call to be on TV. Chapter 4. Training gear for fight prep. When it comes to training for a fight, some of the most important tools you'll invest in outside of your program tuition and training partners is your training gear. I can't stress this enough. It's your body. You only get one of them. So take damn good care of it. Below is a list of the essentials required for fight prep at Puu Muay Thai Academy, and I highly suggest you acquire all of it. They all have their very specific purpose, which I'll outline later. Training gear requirements for fight prep. Thai-style steel cup or women's groin protector. Thick shin guards designed for high-intensity sparring. Elbow pads. Knee pads. 16-ounce leather or synthetic leather gloves. Single mouthpiece or specialized mouthpiece. Muay Thai trunks. Hand wraps. Headgear. No bar across or other face shields. Thai-style jump rope. Running shoes. Vagisil for the aches and pains. Optional. Chest guard if competitions require or if you are a youth competitor. I'll mention again, don't get the cheap $20 pair of Century shin guards on Amazon. Do get the $85 plus pair of Sandy, Fairtex, Twins, Top King, or In-Fight style. Those $20 Century shin guards aren't made for high-intensity striking. Your training partners won't like sparring with you as much, and the chance of you getting hurt go up exponentially. The higher quality shin guards will last you much longer and will protect not only yourself, but your training partners as well. It's really a win-win. Save yourself the time waiting for the correct gear and get it. For the Thai-style steel cup, it's an absolute requirement for our team. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have to have it unless you're a female competitor. I don't care what the company that sold you the ultra high-tech carbon fiber insert told you, it's just not the same. Sandy, Twins, Fairtex, and Top King all make great steel cups that you can use. Please keep in mind that the sizing on these are all Thai sizing, so don't get too excited when your instructor says you're an extra large. Elbow and knee pads are important to help protect both yourself and partners from hitting the hard joints. You'll most likely bang your knee or kick an elbow as well as your training partners. This will mitigate injuries to both yourself and your training partners. You want to take care of your training partners as you want to take care of yourself. Without training partners, you'll have no one to spar and clinch with. When it comes to gloves, I put 14 to 16 ounce as it will depend on your size and type of sparring your program does. For us, most people use 16-ounce gloves. I put leather and or Syntec as you want to make sure you have a quality glove, as a chipped or ripped vinyl glove can seriously injure your partner or yourself. Think torn cornea. I recommend using lace-up gloves as they mitigate the incidence of Velcro burn that could open up infections that could potentially put you out of the competition. You want to avoid the dreaded staph infection at all costs. I've had Velcro from a glove ripped across my face several times, and I would avoid it at all costs. Mouthpieces serve as a primary purpose of preventing your teeth from cracking together, as well as keeping your jaw in a neutral position. Keeping your jaw in a position when taking blows to the head can mitigate knockouts. or getting your bell rung. I've honestly used a simple $10 boil and bite style mouthpiece for the majority of my fight career, and I started my fight career with a fake tooth right up front. I still have said fake tooth, and I've taken my fair share of damage. I've seen people visit their dentist to get moles, and they turned out very poorly. If you decide to go the custom mouthpiece route, find a company that specializes in making them for combat sports, such as Impact mouthguards, which I now use myself. This is key as each contact sport has different needs and combat sports are very specialized. It also goes without saying, always use the same mouthpiece and refrain from changing your mouthpiece too close to your fight, if possible, as they take some time to get used to breathing with. Next on the list is Muay Thai trunks. You think it'd be a no-brainer, right? Wrong. I can't count how many times I've seen a Muay Thai event and the team that shows up in basketball and MMA shorts are usually laughed at behind closed doors or ridiculed for not being professional. Some regulatory commissions won't even let you fight in the event without wearing proper Muay Thai trunks. So let this be your warning. Invest in a good pair from your academy if possible. Represent your team proudly. Hand wraps are vital to protecting your hands as there are so many small bones to jam and or break. It's so common to jam or break these bones, they actually call it in the medical field a boxer's fracture, due to the high incidence of these in boxing and combat sports. I don't care how tough you think it makes you, wear some damn hand wraps. I had a younger fighter who I berated for 2 years before they finally got some. They later went on to develop some pretty damaging wrist injuries due to the previous years of not wearing them. Headgear is important in preventing cuts, and you'll most likely be having your first fight in one. So rather than complain to your instructor on why you don't like it, take it from me. Get used to it. That's the game, and you just have to get used to it. You probably didn't like flossing your teeth as a kid either, but you do it anyway. By the way, go floss if you haven't. I recommend a headgear with basic cheek guards and no chin bar. This will serve to protect your eyes from the glove hitting it and reduce pressure and damage to your nose while sparring. Do not get a boxing style face bar or a face shield headgear. These are very dangerous as they obscure your vision while sparring. A Thai style jump rope is on this list because when I first started, most places I trained at didn't even have one and knew what they were. Chances are, your program has these available at your facility, but if they don't, you'll want to order one. These are made with a heavier tubing that will serve to build up your shoulders, chest, back, and arms for Muay Thai. I swear they aren't to punish your feet. It's an inside joke, by the way. And they will help you tremendously. They serve a very specific purpose for Muay Thai, over a generic speed rope that you see in most Western boxing training facilities. Last on the list is a good pair of running shoes. Don't skimp on these. You'll be using them a lot, and believe it or not, running is an art in itself. It's also very easy to become injured from running, very often due to improper footwear and time spent on the road. I highly recommend you invest in a good pair that can set you back anywhere from $80 to $150 USD, depending on how fancy of a shoe you're looking at. Be sure to visit a running specialty store. You'll probably have one nearby that you've driven past at least a dozen times. If not, a simple search online should suffice to find a store. I recommend visiting the store in person, as most running specialty stores will have you try on different shoes and assess your running stride to prescribe the correct shoe for your stride. This will help prevent training injuries down the road. Pun fully intended. I put chest guards as optional, as not a lot of places use them here in the United States for first-time fighters, but there are regulatory commissions that require it, or tournaments that require it. This is especially true for youth athletes, and is quickly becoming the standard for kids ages 14 years of age and younger as Muay Thai moves closer to becoming an Olympic sport. Veritex, Twins, and Sandy all make great chest guards for Muay Thai, but they'll set you back a pretty penny. Chapter 5. Running and roadwork. There are a ton of theories on running and roadwork requirements for fighters. There are trends that come and go throughout the years. There was even one that said you can get away with just doing interval training. I've tried it all, and I find a combination of long slow distance, also known as LSD, and interval training running through sprint dedicated workouts in what is known as fartlek training. Run slow, run fast, run hard, then repeat, etc. Google it. To be the best for myself and athletes. I've had people laugh at me for how much I make my fighters run, but honestly it's pretty minimal compared to the methods I've experimented with at training camps in Thailand, but it's definitely up there in regards to mileage. This is a typical training program for a high-level fighter. Monday, 5-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 3-mile run, long slow distance plus 100-meter sprints 8 times. Wednesday, 5-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 5-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 5-mile run, long slow distance. Saturday, 3-mile run, long slow distance plus 100-meter sprints 8 times. Sunday, no running. Total mileage is approximately 27 miles for the week. That's around 43 kilometers for you metric folks. Now, if you aren't already doing a lot of miles per week, do not jump into that program. I repeat, do not just go straight into that program. That's an advanced program for our fighters who have built up to it. I'll outline a simple formula to start running along with a base program for you below. A general rule of thumb for running is to not increase your mileage by more than 5% every week. So take that for what you will. I'll outline our basic program below. You'll notice how we gradually increase time, mileage, and sprint intensity. This is how we start developing the athlete to a more advanced running routine. Basic running program for beginners. Week 1. Monday, 3-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 1-mile run, long slow distance. 100-meter sprints times 4 times. Wednesday, 3-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 2-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 30-minute run, long slow distance. Saturday and Sunday, no running. Week number 2. Monday, 3.5-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 1-mile run, long slow distance, plus 100-meter sprints 5 times. Wednesday, 3.5-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 2-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 35-minute run, long slow distance. Saturday and Sunday, no running. Week 3. Monday, 4-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 2-mile run, long slow distance, plus 100-meter sprints 6 times. Wednesday, 4-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 2-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 40-minute run, long slow distance. Saturday and Sunday, no running. Week number 4. Monday, 4.5-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 2-mile run, long slow distance, plus 100-meter sprints 7 times. Wednesday, 4-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 3-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 45-minute run, long slow distance. Saturday and Sunday, no running. Week number 5. Monday, 5-mile run, long slow distance. Tuesday, 3-mile run, long slow distance, plus 100-meter sprints 8 times. Wednesday, 4-mile run, long slow distance. Thursday, 4-mile run, fartlek training. Friday, 50-minute run, long slow distance. Saturday, 1-mile run, long slow distance, plus 100-meter sprints 6 times. Sunday, no running. Take these programs and adjust them as necessary. If you have an instructor, ask them advice on it and make sure you adjust accordingly. Please remember that many different programs have different running protocols. But if you don't have one, this is a great way to have a goal in mind for where you want to build as you get closer to preparing for your first Muay Thai fight. Your Thai-style jump rope will come into play here as well. These jump rope will help come into play here as well. These jump ropes are integral to developing rhythm, muscular conditioning, and strengthening the feet. Ideally, you'll get at least 3 20-minute sessions per week. You can split that up however you want. I typically like to do it prior to training as a small warm-up, or after training to finish up a solid session. A small side note, if you can't get your row work in due to dangerous conditions outside, you can opt to jump rope and adapt the time to what your running would normally call for. Keep in mind that this takes practice, as you have to be very consistent with the jump rope in order to do interval training and sprints with it, but it can be done. Chapter 6, Shadowboxing. If you're running before work in the morning, consider getting your shadowboxing time in after your run. It's a great way to cool down from your run, and you're already sweating. Might as well do it, right? There are various types of shadowboxing, and I'll describe the key use here in a moment. One of the biggest hurdles for people new to Muay Thai is getting comfortable in shadowboxing. Hey, I get it. Hitting the air and breathing ush, ush in the air is a good way to make you look like a crazy person, but that's part of the art. Muay Thai is loud. You have to understand the principles that shadowboxing plays into you as you lead up to the competition. When you shadowbox, it's time to start developing the visualization tool set that you will use come fight day. You must learn to visualize what an attack coming at you would look like, and how you would defend it. This is why it's important to have the fundamentals of Muay Thai under your belt, as you have to know basic offense and defense tactics. Practice what you do know, and practice the things your instructor wants you to implement as well. This is the time to get your mind and body connected to work together to execute. You must imagine what your performance and your perfect technique would look like in your head and do your best to mimic it physically. That is where imagination comes into play. Hey, it is martial art, after all. A basic shadowboxing session should last at least 10 minutes, and you can break it down into rounds or do 10 minutes straight. I prefer to break it down into rounds so I have time to think about my game plan for the next round, much like you would during a fight. Sometimes I just want to flow for 10 minutes as a cool down at the end of training and let my body and mind tell me what I need to be doing. We call this a flow state, and it takes a lot of time to develop. I'll outline a basic 3-round shadowboxing routine below. Each program I've trained in has different round lengths. I prefer 4 minutes as it lets you settle and not rush. It's also 1 minute longer than a fight round, which mentally helps later on. Basic shadowboxing routine. Round 1. Movement, evasion defense, straight punches, teeps, and kicks. 10 push-ups between round. Round 2. Build on round 1. Add blocking, straight knees and elbows, punches, evade, and returns. 10 push-ups between round. Round 3. Building on round 2. Adding catching techniques, clinching, and higher volume combination work. 10 push-ups to finish. There are various ways to shadowbox and definitely experiment. This is just the way I typically run our programs, and it has a high success rate for developing the mindset necessary for fighting. Also know that you can always shadowbox more. I highly suggest building in a lot of shadowboxing to your routine. This will help to refine movements for you, which will help save you energy, which will set you up for more success while preparing for your first Muay Thai fight. Chapter 7. Your training week. Your training week will include your running and road work as well as your shadowboxing. In this chapter, I want to specifically address your actual Muay Thai training and what this should resemble. Ideally, for a first-time fighter, you want to be training a minimum of 2 to 2.5 hours per training day, 5 to 6 days per week. That doesn't include your running. That can include your jump rope and shadowboxing time. It depends on the program you're in, honestly. This is what a basic training week while you're preparing for your first fight might look like while preparing for your first Muay Thai fight. Monday, power work or private lesson. Bad work and technique drilling. Sparring, 15 to 20 minutes. Clinching, 15 to 20 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching. Tuesday, pad work or private lesson. Bag work and technique drilling. Clinching for 30 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching. Wednesday, pad work or private lesson. Bag work and technique drilling. Sparring, 30 to 45 minutes. Clinching, 10 to 15 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching. Thursday, pad work or private lesson. Bag work and technique drilling. Clinching for 30 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching. Friday and Saturday. You can do this all on Friday or Saturday or split it up through both days. Pad work or bag work and technique drilling. Sparring, 30 to 45 minutes. Clinching for 30 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching. Sunday, rest and recovery, active recovery, and stretching. Notice how we do a higher volume of sparring and clinching variations throughout the week. This allows us to push our bodies and minimize injuries from sparring. As you get to 3 weeks away from your fight, you start increasing the intensity of your training sessions. There are various ways to do this. The most common for my team is through hard clinch training and conditioning drills. I'll break those down in another chapter. This is what a typical fight week for our program will look like. We'll assume that your first Muay Thai fight is on Saturday and that weigh-in is the same day. You'll keep your road work the same until Wednesday. The only change you will have is that you will not be doing sprints. It's ideal that the week of your fight you don't hold pads too much for various reasons, which we can discuss later. Week of your first Muay Thai fight. On Monday, pad work or private lesson, bag work and technique drilling, very light clinching for 15 minutes, calisthenics and conditioning, shadowboxing to cool down, and stretching. Tuesday, pad work or private lesson, bag work and technique drilling, very light offense and defense drills, 15 minutes. Calisthenics and conditioning, stretching to cool down, and shadowboxing. Wednesday, pad work or private lesson. Bag work, calisthenics and conditioning, shadowboxing to cool down, stretching. Thursday, rest and recovery. Still go to the academy just to hang out with the team, keep your mind right. Friday, rest and recovery. Still go to the academy to hang out with the team and keep your mind right. Saturday, your first Muay Thai fight. In the above week, everything has a very specific mental and physical purpose. No wasted energy should be expended the week of the fight. The next topic there is a hot debate on, but it's something I'd like to address, how we run things and how I was taught by my Thai trainers. For the 2 weeks leading up to a fight, no sex or masturbation is allowed. Yes, you read and heard that right. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was skeptical of this at first, but I'd literally see my Thai trainers pick people apart and figure out who's having sex leading up to a fight. I'd usually be aware as it was my friends who I knew were doing the deed when they shouldn't have been. No one told the trainer, he just knew. So whether you think it's bullshit or not, that's the rule we have for our team. Alright, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Puu Muay Thai podcast. If you enjoy the content, feel leave a review over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Give us a rating. It means the world to us. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Puu Muay Thai podcast, or if you just want to shout out to your friend, go check us out at podcast.puumuaythai.com. You can submit to be able to be a guest on the podcast. You can submit what you want to talk about. Also, if you want to just give a shout out, there's a button for that too. Sawadee Kop.